Aloha, friends! I have just come back from Nice, France, where the Ironman World Championship was won by 24-year-old Sam Lalo. Endurance champions are getting younger, which holds true not just for triathletes. This year, the second fastest marathon time ever was set by 23-year-old Kelvin Kiptum. Long-distance winners and record breakers are now those not in their late but in their early 20s. And one of the biggest and brightest stars this year is the all-time youngest champion of the Ironman 70.3 or half Ironman, Rico Bogen, who is now 22. When it comes to Sam Laidlow's or Kelvin Kiptum's training programs, we can only guess. But Rico Bogen is a whole other story, because we and Rico are coached by Joseph Spindler. Joe is the coach who trains both professional athletes and amateurs, and here is the man himself.
I started training for triathlon quite late, so I think I was 21 when I started with triathlon. Before I was racing mountain bike, cross-country racing, and then I was running my first marathon, studying in Berlin, so I ran my first marathon and finished in 2:54, I think, just without any knowledge and experience. And then I thought, okay, I need something which is bike and run and which is long duration, because I like long duration, and has marathon. So I thought, okay, the longest race you can do in one day is an Ironman. And then I decided to go into triathlon. And I had to learn to swim. Yeah, and from then on, I improved and got better and better. So this was the start of everything. So I started as an amateur, then I worked part-time when I got better to finance my training in racing, got some prize money, and then I was full-time pro at international team TBB. And after that, I changed into coaching. For my career, I won several long distance races in Germany. I had several top 10 finishes in Ironman racing around the world. So this was the biggest accomplishment. I'm a coach for triathlon since about 15 years. So I started coaching when I still was a professional athlete. And then I was in Team TBB and I was kind of a talent scout looking for new athletes who could possibly grow up into the professional team. And I started coaching and helping some athletes there. And then Brett said, maybe you have a talent there, and look after those when they are not in camp. And this way I started, I liked it, also liked giving back something to the athletes and passing on all the experience. And from then on, I coached more and more. So I have a roster of about 30 athletes. Doesn't change much. So many of my athletes stay with me already since many years, but I try to keep the athletes to around 30 to keep the quality in the coaching, to always have present the abilities of the athletes, the goals, the training sessions.
For several months, Joseph has been training a young and very promising German triathlete, Rico Bogen.
I started training Rico last year in November. So November 22, we started together. And that is now 10 months. So in the beginning of 22, Rico was selected for the next gen team of Q Cycling. Then his coach at that time said, look, I'm a short distance coach. Maybe if you want to move on to longer distances, you might want to look for a coach which is better suited for long distance training. And then Alex, the founder of Q Cycling and the manager of the next gen team, selected me as a coach for Rico. And then at some point we said, yes, let's try it together. And from then on, we're working together.
Since then, Rico was the fourth to finish at the half Ironman Lanzarote and won the half Ironman in Kraichgau, which is traditionally seen as a kind of the internal championship for the strongest German triathletes. Rico was the first, having beaten a two-time Ironman world champion Patrick Lange, and now he's a world champion himself.
I realized Rico's potential quite early. I would say even before we started working together. When I looked at Rico's performance, it was obvious that he already was a very good swimmer. And then I really realized that he had really good abilities already when I did the first testing, metabolic performance testing with him, where I found to my surprise that he had a complete different physiological setup than what I expected. So I expected that it is an athlete who comes from focus racing, who has like very high lactate production, burns a lot of carbs. What I found was exactly the opposite. So he was already like a fat burning machine, super good endurance athlete. And then I thought, oh, okay, this is really interesting.
So what is Bogen's secret? This is the question that many are asking right now. When in Nice, I met Rico and was able to ask him about it.
I switched from swimming to triathlon for 7 years. So yeah, I was a former swimmer, and yeah, swimming was a little bit too boring, I would say. Go 2 times in the swimming hall in the morning and in the evening. So yeah, triathlon it's more different with the free kind of sports, and my parents are also doing triathlon and running. So it was clear that I sometimes change to triathlon. Yeah. No, not that fast. Yeah, this was really unexpected and unbelievable. Yeah.
What helped him to win the World Championship? How does one prepare, train, and how should one perform?
The most important thing for the race of a professional triathlete, I would almost say, is the swim. Because nowadays you have to be a complete athlete as a professional athlete, because otherwise the race is over after swim already. We had that in all the races Rico did. So for example, Lanzarote, there was a group of 7 after the swim. Everybody who was behind that first group of 7 had nothing to do with the podium, not even close. We had the same in Kraichgau, also 5 athletes coming off the bike. The podium was made of those first guys. So I think the swim is the most important.
On average, I would say 25 hours, so not too much, but in a training camp it can be up to 30 hours. So yeah, it's not too much volume now. We set the quality higher than the quantity. For swimming, I think it's really important to have technical part. So yeah, it's good to start in young ages with swimming. Yeah, bike, like this course, I think it's also very important to go downhill very good. And yeah, in running, it's important to be efficient, to have a good economic, that you don't burn too much calories, and that's just efficient. Yeah, so we didn't measure that, and so weißt du? 74. 74? Yeah, 74. For 3 years I won the 15 flat, 15.00 on the 5K, but I think I'm now faster, so maybe 14.40 I would say. And on 10K, my best time is now, my personal best now, 31.00. Yeah. 100?
Yeah.
Oh, this is 56. So under 1 minute, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think I'm better in the longer distance. In 100 meters, I'm not so good. 390, I think. 355.
So there is no secret sauce about Rico's training sessions. The most important really was to get the basics right. So it sounds a bit boring, but consistency is really the most important. And then to get that consistency, you need to ensure that the athlete stays injury free. So this is really what we focused on, to keep Rico injury free, especially when working on the run. We were a few times close that he said, oh, I have some pain here, some pain there. And he gave me really good feedback so that I could decide what to do, to carry on, to back off with training, to change some sessions. So this was really the most important, to get that consistency.
Yeah, I think the consistency in training and yeah, working with Joe is really nice. We have a good connection. We can talk over everything. And so, yeah, connection to the coach is very important, that you can trust him, that he can trust you. So, yeah, I think this one.
So Rico, already in his young age of 22 years, is an almost perfect athlete. His swim is really very good. His bike is very strong. And then the thing which we worked a lot on was the run. So that we clearly had to improve, and we managed. But there's still room for improvement. The swim can be a little bit better. Maybe he can be swim fitter so that he is less tired from the swim. The bike, we have some room for improvement. And then obviously the run, that is probably the area where he can improve most. We changed a little bit of the technique. We just started that work on the technique. Rico gets all this training in for several years. His body will change. Right now he still looks a little bit like a baby. You know, if you compare Rico to Frodeno, then Frodeno has this super slim, super well-trained
like
body.
sculptor.
Yes. And Rico not yet.
Yeah, mid distance I'm a good biker, and a short distance there is with drafting allowed. So there are big bike groups, and then it's just a running decision. And so yeah, the mid distance suits me more with non-drafting races.
So Rico was always close to make the national Olympic team, but really never made it. And so he saw that he probably had a better chance in racing longer distances, 70.3. So that was the real reason why he decided to give it a try to go for the longer distance. The funny thing is that this season he had his best season in short distance racing as well. So he won the overall Bundesliga, which is sprint racing basically, very short races, and his overall performance gain was so good that he even could podium in the Bundesliga races and won the overall ranking.
What's it like to be a world champion? What happens both mentally and spiritually after such victory? To the athletes and to the coach.
The thing is that you never can really plan a win. That is not possible, I think. So I won Ironman races with my athletes. We never planned for a win. We understand we have good chances, but then we focus really on the race execution to just do what is necessary in the race. And it was the same with Rico. So we had a race plan, which we discussed before the race, and it really unfolded exactly as we planned. So he exited the water in the front group. They even had a little gap to the next pack. Then I told him to stay within that front group on the bike for as good as he could. Came off the bike in 4th position, basically very close to the start of to the front of the race. But then what we did not talk exactly, and which was a surprise, was how strong his run was. So we worked like 10 months since we started, we worked on that run, and it just came everything together. On that day, he had that run, and he was just fit to the point, peaking to the point. So it was a bit of a surprise that it worked out so perfectly good. But we knew before that he was really in good shape and that he had good chances. So we said, yeah, maybe top 10, top 5 would be fantastic. We didn't even talk about winning. But yeah, the run was a surprise. Everything else was quite as planned.
Yeah, I had good running legs after the tough bike. So I was surprised over good legs. And yeah, after one loop, so after 10 kilometers, I thought, yeah, okay, I have 1 minute gap, so maybe I can win this, yeah, so after one lap.
You know, all the puzzles just came together in a perfect day on that day. You know, he improved his swim, he improved his bike, he had personal best on 10K, personal best on marathon. He won Traichgau 70.3. We went to the altitude camp. He came back a little bit tired, but then recovered in time. So everything just worked out perfectly well.
That was just unbelievable. All the emotions came up. I was crying in front of the finish line, and yeah, all the spectators. This was really unbelievable. All the emotions are crying all the time. Yeah, this was, and just there was the family, my girlfriend, and the Q family. This was really special.
I have already congratulated Rico and Joseph in person, but I'd like to do it one more time and wish them all the best. And you can do the same thing in the comment section below. I will personally make sure they read your comments and feel your love and support. What's next for Rico?
The next goal for Rico is not really easy. You know, we went from winning his first 70.3 to winning the World Championship in 1 year. So you think, okay, we reached the top, so what's next? The most important thing is to really focus on his athletic development. He's not out-trained yet, he's not finished as an athlete. So for me, you know, I'm not looking so much in the results. I'm really, for the next 6 and 12 months, I'm really looking into make him an even better athlete. And of course, he likes racing the top guys. So we will look for some PTO racing to really, you know, race against the top guys and just, you know, make it exciting.
End of October, there's a challenge in France, Bocaux. Maybe I will start there the next big race. Yeah, so long as long as possible. I hope for 10 or 15 years. Yeah. Yeah, Jan Vodeno is idol for me because he's also a tall guy and yeah, he wins Olympian and then Kona and World Champs and also the 70.3. So yeah, he did everything. And yeah, the Olympic circle now with 2024, it's over. 2028, it's the next Olympian. Yeah, I don't know if it works so well on the middle distance and the long distance. I don't think I will go back. But if I'm fast enough in running, maybe it could be a try. Yeah, I will try for sure. Yeah, not sure when, maybe in 3 years, I would say. 2 or 3 years, yeah.
With all these ever younger champions and new technologies emerging, what could it mean for the future of triathlon?
The possible time progress in Ironman and half Ironman racing, I think there's still some improvement possible. I think the athlete did not get better than before. They just have better equipment. The shoes made a really big difference. That helped to improve the overall times. Obviously depends a lot on the course, on the day, but for perfect conditions there is some improvement still possible.
Speaking about technologies, at this year's World Championship in Leipzig, Rico competed using a bike from Q-Cycle. Rico is a part of the Q-Cycle team, and here's what he himself says about this bicycle.
I think it's a really fast bike. Fastest on the market, yeah, and I'm confident with them, and yeah.
In Nice, I also managed to meet and talk to the founders of Q-Cycle, and soon we are going to upload the full interview in which we are discussing the story of the company. Subscribe to our channel and see you soon, folks.